Utilizing that 1 pound allowance. It is Elise Pone that has a sizable reach advantage. We'll see if she calls upon that in that fight. We call upon Joe Martinez for our official introductions.
And all fight fans, we are set to go with the next fight tonight. 3 rounds, this in the flyweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. She's a catch wrestler sitting 5'8", 8 inches tall, weighing in officially 124 3/4 pounds in one fight. She has 1 victory, fighting out of State College, PA. Here is Elise, the Peace Pone! And across the cage, her opponent fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet 5 inches tall. She weighed in 125 1/2 pounds and in 6 fights holds a record of 4 victories with 2 defeats. Fighting out of Fairfield, Iowa, here is Helen Yanza Peralta. And your referee in charge is Zach Tiberius.
Zach Tiberius getting this flyweight assignment. It is Elise the Peace Pone taking on the hard-hitting Helen Peralta. TJ DeSantis, Julie Kenzie inside Fight Church, Kansas City, Kansas for Invicta FC 45. Pone in the black rash guard, the black tank is Helen Peralta.
And there go the haymakers. Oh, nice trip.
Peralta allows Pone to stand back up. Oh, wow. Getting creative with the strikes here early.
One of the things she says, she loves to be exciting.
We've seen that in the past. You look at Helen Peralta, we've seen her determination on display, cutting weight, on her way down when she took the fight on literally a day's notice. She said she was ready to fight at bantamweight if it called for it. But you look at these two women inside the Invicta cage here. Peralta a lot shorter than her opponent Pone, but now on the inside getting this clinch.
Getting the clinch. And, speaking of people who are proud of their blue belts, Helen Peralta also said, I'm the baddest blue belt on the planet, besides Derek Lewis.
Right, yeah. All props to the Black Beast, Derek Lewis.
Yeah, I like all these blue belts talking themselves up. I like it.
We see now Peralta again inside this clinch. I wonder if that is the mission here with that long reach advantage for Pone.
I think that would be smart. She does want to fight exciting, but you can see she's fighting for wrist and bicep control right there on the inside to set up probably some elbows, and she's also fishing for the outside trip, I think.
A character in many ways is Helen Peralta. Always likes to get under the skin of her opponent. That was on display in her Invicta fight against Cheyenne Bays, which was a really big statement win for Peralta. There was some bad blood there. I actually think that Peralta was able to utilize the mental game to get under the skin of Bays and cause that fight to go the way that it went. But for the most part, she didn't have too many bad things to say about Elise Pone, but she definitely said she was going to bring the fight.
Yes, she did, and she is bringing the fight. I mean, she's doing a nice job of controlling, of keeping things tight. Pone is on the defense.
Nice takedown there by Peralta. She hasn't been able to completely secure this position, but going to work with the right hands.
Yeah, and I love the way she's using her head. I love the way she's just slamming that hand in there,
Pone in some trouble here.
Yeah, those strikes are adding up. They're not light strikes, and there's a lot of them. I think we used to call those bowling balls back in the day where you just kind of were just winging from that elbow. It hurts a lot.
And Pone was able to stand back up, but I mean, she took a lot of punishment from it. And again, Peralta's still winging that right hand here in this clinch.
And Pone is wrapped around the head of Peralta, which could quite possibly give up her back if she continues to turn that way.
Controlling that left arm here in this clinch as well is Peralta. Goes to the body with a couple of knees.
And I like how she knees, attempts to trip, punches, attempts to trip. Really staying very active. I think Pone is looking for a way to push her away, definitely push on the hips and get off of the cage. Good turn, but she's got to watch her reaching over the head unless you have that beautiful trip.
Appreciate everyone getting involved on Twitter tonight. I mean, ooh, this is going to be violent? Absolutely. When Helen Peralta is going to work, that is exactly the sentiment, and we'll see if she can try to make something happen here. A little over 90 seconds remain in round number 1. Dragging Pone back to the floor is Peralta. And
she's half on her back. You can see she's got her left hook in. Pone is doing a good job of trying to use the cage to prevent Peralta getting fully on her back.
we know that Peralta has a ton of power and is one to mix it up, but she's fighting really smart here. She's still being violent, but she's being calculated with her violence.
Calculated, but that swagger, like she's looking at her work and knowing what's going to happen. And even though, like I said, she's hitting the hand, she's getting through.
I mean, these are shots that most fighters, when they throw, they don't throw with fight-ending intentions. That's what Helen Peralta's doing. Nice knee on the stand-up here by Pone, but Pone able to slow this one down a little bit, see if she can get this fight going her way here in this final minute. Helen Peralta has been in control all the way here thus far.
And one of the nice things that we saw in that exchange earlier was that Peralta kept control of the wrist almost the entire time. And you can see Pone again wrapped over the head. I have to change my angle here, but look at the way Pone is fighting for inside control in the bicep. That was a smart thing to do, and Peralta immediately went back to that underhook.
And Peralta really relentless with her pressure here inside this clinch. And it's just got to be frustrating fighting her because she bullies you in a way that not too many fighters bring that sort of aggressive output quite the way she does.
It's true. She really loves to hit people.
5 minutes in the books here between these flyweights. Helen Peralta setting the tone here in round number 1. They go back to her corner, and now is the time for Elise Pone, who said, I really respond well to direction. She's definitely going to get that from her coaches here, and we'll see what kind of adjustments she can make. But adjustments are going to have to be made because Helen Peralta is fighting her style of fight.
She is fighting her style of fight. She's bullying, she's throwing her haymakers, and she's also doing a great job of controlling the clinch battle. We saw 2 takedowns off her. We also saw her wrap Pone up and keep control of her and keep Pone on the defense almost the whole time. What I really admire also is Peralta's doing a nice job with her legs and her balance and making little adjustments so that even when Pone is getting back up to her feet, she's stepping out in order to get to a position where she can swing. I mean, we're watching her staying in one position and swing right there, get those little bowling balls in, but you see her adjust her legs. I think that's super, super important in these clinch battles.
Headed to round number 2. TJ DeSantis, Julie Kedzie, watching flyweights Helen Peralta and Elise the Peace Pone inside the Invicta FC cage. Appreciate you joining us tonight on our new night of Wednesday in a 10-8 round across the board for Helen Peralta. That is a statement.
But it was in the second round against
Chrissy Yandoli.
Yeah, against Yandoli that Pone really picked it up.
A lot harder to get the fight going in the second round after dropping at 10-8, but Elise Pone, very game. While this is only her second pro MMA fight, extensive experience in combat sports, and we'll see if she can call upon that experience to change the pace of this fight here in round number 2. But again, looking at Helen Peralta able to get this clinch. Now Pone trying to get that plum clinch, but is drugged to the floor for her efforts.
Yeah, and that's the problem is you really have to have hip space for that one. It can be a very good defense up against if your back is against the cage, but you need your hip free.
Fighting to try to keep that right arm free as Pone, but Peralta able to pin it to the floor.
And really, Peralta, she likes to trap a limb and then hit you real hard.
She likes to be mean.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gritty with it.
And it's calculated meanness.
Right.
Which is really fun to see.
Saw your former Invicta FC champ Tanya Evinger in the house tonight. Helen Peralta has a style that reminds me of Tanya. Just, drag your opponent through the mud and make him feel it, make him hurt.
There's that haymaker. And she allowed Pone to get back up to her feet. I think, it's interesting if you watch the way she looks in a fight. She looks off center. She's very good at misdirecting.
Nice knee to the body there on the inside by Peralta.
Loving the wrist control. And I think, Pone wrapping her up, trying to keep her close, trying to get to a position where she can shift her hips and get off the cage. And it's prevented because of the way Peralta is able to pin her with her head, and she's able to really reach through and re-grab on those wrists.
Again, with that right hand, Helen Peralta finding a home and controlling that left arm of Elise Pone, so she can't really defend herself the way she wants to.
Yeah, that's really frustrating to be tied up and also hit. It shouldn't make any sense. They're holding onto your hand and yet they're hitting you.
Halfway point of the fight now, 2.5 down in round number 2. In talking to Helen Peralta, you know, her focus is fighting now at 125 pounds, and she believes she carries a lot of power, but she knew she was going to be undersized. She says some of the straw weights are bigger than her, but she feels confident that she can make a statement and an impact here at 125.
Well, she definitely looks strong at 125, and she looks like she's making an impact tonight. Again, just watch what she's doing with her feet in these clinch exchanges, though. When she tries to go for a trip, and sometimes she gets a trip, sometimes she doesn't, but she immediately wedges in with that leg afterward to make it harder for Pone to find a space off the cage. It's really good control, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too. Elise Pone knew what she was in store for in round number 2, because this is the strategy that Peralta used in round number 1, and she just hasn't been able to find an answer for it. Now back to the floor, 90 seconds left in round number 2. The corner here of Pone trying to implore her to get a guard back, try to break this, because that's the thing with Peralta on the floor. She's not sitting in the guard. She's not allowing herself to be slowed down in any position. She's taking this dominant position and looking to punish. She's
taking the dominant position. She's wrapping up the leg. She's making a get-up hard to do, and get-ups against the cage are generally, you know, that's, you want to be up against the cage to get back to your feet, and that's hard to do when your wrist is tied up and your leg is tied up. Now, she is able to get that space at times. She has been able to get up before, and I think Pone can get up again, but I think it's really going to come down to not protecting against the punches so much as looking for a way to wrap underneath with that arm. Get that, get that arm wrapped.
In the final minute here of round number 2, the first round was a very dominant one for Helen Peralta, winning on all 3 judges' scorecards, 10-8. And we'll see if they turn in another 10-8 scorecard if this goes the final 30 seconds here. But again, another round that is just as dominant on display here by Helen Peralta.
And it can be so frustrating to be pushed against the cage that long. I mean, it's exhausting. I love fighting against the cage. I love watching fights against the cage because of that, because it drains people. It's so technical. Nice turnout.
10 minutes in the books between these flyweights. Helen Peralta in control thus far of Elise Pone. And, you know, obviously the physical wear and tear is adding up for Pone. But mentally, like you said, this has got to be the hardest part, you know, heading into this third round to mentally, you know, maintain your resilience, because Helen Peralta is going out there and really doing anything that she wants thus far.
Yeah, and it's especially draining when you're probably expecting, I mean, because Peralta has put that time in with the bare knuckle boxing, excuse me, she was probably expecting her to really throw down, which she's done her haymakers, but to pin her against the cage, to be that technical and to keep pushing on that, that is emotionally fatiguing, TJ.
Inside the corner a moment ago of Elise Pone, the scorecard was seen by him, and he just said, look, you need to finish, which, I mean, when you drop a 10-8 round, you pretty much need to finish at that point. And again, you know, no news being broke to Elise Pone that this round, the points don't matter. You want to get your hand raised, you got to go out there and stop Helen Peralta.
And on 10-8 rounds, that's something that Kansas is really trying to implement hard. They really want to make a 10-8 round a thing.
Ooh, nice right hand. That's a thing that drops Elise Pone. 2016 for one judge, 2017 for the other 2. So Helen Peralta firmly in control of this fight, but don't mistake it. She's not going to rest on her laurels here and slow down by any means. And you can see her aggression on display. She dropped Pone to start this third and final round. You see the body there, and now going for a big takedown. Nicely done by Helen Peralta. Not where Elise Pone wanted to be in this third round. She tries to get back into this fight.
You can see, like, you can hear her coach telling her to wedge, but she's unable to. Peralta just steps right over it.
And that's what's so dominant about this fight for Helen Peralta. The strikes are there, but just the positional dominance, and now right hand to the body. Pone able to stand back up, and Peralta, I think she's just having fun here in this third round.
Oh, yeah, I think Peralta's having a lot of fun in this fight.
Nice left hand.
Good kick from Pone.
High kick showing that there's a lot more left in her game, and Peralta closes the distance back inside the clinch.
And it's, you know, it's one of those things, you have that moment where you got that good strike, and then all of a sudden you're pinned up against the cage again. You know, you're back where it's frustrating.
We talk about that Muay Thai base of Elise Pone. while Peralta, blocked that kick. A well-experienced Muay Thai fighter, it's like a baseball bat. Sure, you block, it doesn't hit you in the head, but as you mentioned earlier, Julie, it can really, hurt your opponent and break an arm at times. But right now, it's Helen Peralta that continues to try to break Elise Pone in this clinch.
I have to stop raving over that footwork, but I'm not going to, because I really like that. Working for the trip and then stepping into wedge. It gives her the opportunity to find those high shots and then to go back. I mean, that's chaining your wrestling.
Right.
That's chaining your striking. It's so nice to see it done this consistently.
And I think it's something that is underappreciated about Helen Peralta, because she is a hard hitter. She's a power puncher, but she's technically refined everywhere. And, like you said, the footwork, it all really stems from those basic fundamentals. And Helen Peralta is showing that she's really got a well-rounded mixed martial arts game here inside the Invicta FC cage. 2.5 minutes remain here in round number 3.
She's hiking up those double unders. Back on the cage and wrapping. Peralta is also, she messes with your mind as a fighter too. Like, she lets you do things just so she can do something else. She lets you get back to your feet. Nice elbow.
Wow. And that can change the pace of a fight. We'll see if Elise Pone can capitalize on it, throwing a high kick.
Yeah, and that's exactly what she...
Wow. And then Helen Peralta wings some punches. Doesn't even land necessarily all those shots, and Elise Pone has to respect that, and now we're back inside the clinch.
Well, yeah, I'd respect those punches. I mean, they could put you down pretty fast. But again, that was a very nice elbow by Pone. I really like the angle of it, and I think Peralta definitely felt that. Stopped her for a second.
Our pal Tommy Toehold checking in on Twitter tonight. Appreciate him doing so. Hashtag Invicta FC 45. 90 seconds left here in the fight. We'll see if Elise Pone can make something happen. She had an opportunity a moment ago, and you could hear her corner really come alive. The fight is still there. They want to make something happen, but they can't stop this train that is Helen Peralta.
The Helen Peralta train.
Climb aboard. Now the question when you see a very dominant fight like this is on the scorecards, has Peralta done enough to actually chase the finish, or is she, proverbially playing with her opponent?
I mean, I think she's trying to finish, but I don't think that's stopping her from playing with her opponent. I think you could do both. Nothing's absolutely certain in fighting. And she's trying to take her down. She's trying to finish her, but she's also having fun. Fighting can be really, really fun when you're dominating.
I mean, you talk to Helen Peralta, she is in love with fighting to a very deep level. So if she ends up going another 30 seconds here and puts 15 minutes in the books, it's going to be 15 minutes that she enjoyed every second of.
She's on her back, and you can see Pone turning in as she needs to do, but back to the cage. It's just been such a frustrating position for Pone during this fight.
Coming up on the final 10 seconds of this flyweight fight, Helen Peralta, Elise Pone. And there's the final bell. The judges tally their 10s and 9s. Well, 10s and 8s, maybe 7s as well, because that was dominance by Helen Peralta, who came to make a statement. She doesn't get the finish tonight, but again, she proved to everyone at 125 pounds, be careful if you get in the cage with her, because it might be a long night.
Yeah, and you know what? Flyweight is a really fun division right now, TJ. I think this is where Peralta belongs, and I'm really excited to see her make waves here. I think she definitely did this to make a statement. I think she was trying to knock her out, but I also think if she wasn't knocking her out, she was showing us that she has the ability to fight in every position and dominate in every position.
Right, and again, yes, there wasn't a stoppage, but it was such domination that when the judges have to write down the score, it's unorthodox scores. You don't see a lot of 10-8s, verging on 10-7 rounds, and Helen Peralta firmly in control, and short of an elbow in the third round for Elise Pone, it was all Helen Peralta as far as offense is concerned.
It really was. And props to Pone. I mean, she knows she lost that fight. We know she lost that fight. They're tallying their scores right now, but this could be a very good learning experience for her, having gone all 3 rounds and seeing some of these positions and seeing where she is dominated.
Yeah, I mean, for Elise Pone, it's only her second pro mixed martial arts fight, and in there with another highly talented fighter in Helen Peralta. Good learning experience nonetheless for Elise Pone. But to make this one official, here's Joe Martinez.
As we go to the scorecards, here are the totals: 30-25, 30-25, and 30-26. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Helen Ianza Peralta.
Helen Peralta getting it done.